Hello, I am Louise Collier. I am a transformational coach, confidence coach. I help people mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And today I am going to talk to you all about my own story, which is not something I do pretty often, but I'm going to tell you a bit about my story and you will actually understand why I love what I do and why I'm actually doing it. It's just like literally amazing how you can turn your life around. So I'm going to take you back to when I was very young. So, say at the age of like 5, 6, 7, I was actually already responsible for a younger child, like 4, 4.5, 5 years younger than me. And that there makes you grow up very, very, very quickly. I was also responsible for practically like a carer for one of my parents. Um, just because I practically wasn't very well. So it was a lot of responsibility at such a young, very age. And it wasn't just that. At home, I was told that I wasn't loved as much compared to my younger brother. I was told that like everything was always my fault if my one of my parents wanted to commit suicide, but I got told that was my fault. Why they're here? Like I should be just thankful that I had a parent, even though that I wasn't being parented. And there was just so much heaviness at such a young age, like a very, very young age. So at home at this age, I was already a role model to somebody that was so much younger than me. I was the emotional support for this young child. They didn't even know whether to call our real mom or to call me mom, so they actually called me second mom. And I was at the age of 7, 8, 9. So yeah, there was also a lot of emotional support, and also not with that, it was also with like one of my parents, a lot of emotional support there. So you just have to step up when your parents aren't very well. Like one's always out working because obviously they need to put a roof over your head, but the other one is very poorly. So the next person that's going to look after the family and keep it together was myself. So I was a mom role, emotional support. I was the carer sometimes. So there was some times where I literally didn't even know what I was going home to. And you do have to just literally just your instinct just comes in like that safety, that flight or safety, and you just know what you're doing. Even when I was very young, I just knew what to do to look after this child and how to like keep everything calm at home and like you just learned how to do it. On top of that, I also had like my own stuff. So I had my own school and studies, but I also had to help my younger brother do his school and studies. So at the age of 11, I was like literally just going into high school, but I was also like bringing up my little brother. Even when I was doing my GCSEs and things, I was like helping my brother do his like homework and things, which made me fall behind on some of mine. And then I used to get bullied because of my English. So I'm dyslexic. And then I used to get laughed at by my parents because my younger brother's English was better than mine, but I'm actually dyslexic and I used to help him with all of his homework. So yeah, it was very, very confusing time. Um, at the age of like 11, um, it wasn't, I didn't have like a childhood as such. Like I had a pub job, so like I would literally go home, I'd go home, get ready, go to the pub, do some work. So like I'd either do glass collecting or put bottles into like the trash and all of these things, get used to like there was a lot of people there. Like I was really known in the pub at the age of 11. For me that was completely normal. It's only been recently, like in the last few years, I've realized it wasn't normal. Like a child shouldn't be in that environment by themselves. I used to do all the ironing at the top of it, so the owners used to let me do their ironing. So yeah, I really paid my way since I was very, very young. I remember being screamed at and shouted at when I was very young, saying, "Well, what do you expect me to do? I don't get paid to have you." So I've always felt like a burden. And it was just not very nice. It was like every time everything got taken out on me, I remember being trying to be suffocated but by a pillow, like literally tried to be like killed. Do you remember the back TVs? I had one of them trying to be thrown at my head. I've just been shouted at, abused like mentally. I got sent to places which weren't too safe. So um my parents did know that some areas weren't safe, some people's houses weren't safe, but they still sent me there. And that was confusing. Like, if you're being told that this person is not safe and to stay away from them, but then you send your daughter there for the weekend. So in my head, I'm like, well, you're telling me it's not safe. Why am I here? And so that was my home environment. It was very like I was always living on edge. Like I never knew what to expect. Don't get me wrong, I had some very, very loving times at home, and I literally really did enjoy some of the times. But like not knowing what to expect, always being anxiety, being told it was my fault. I always went in and thought everything that was happening around me was based on my performance and what I was doing. And then when I went to school, it was not the exact same. I had a lot of friends, but then I also got like kind of bullied as well because of my home life, because of how I was being treated at home. And some of my friends had come round and they'd seen like how I was being treated, and they were like telling me it's not normal. But I was like, no, this is normal because it was my normal. So I actually fell out with quite a few friends with that. And then also like because I'm mixed race, it was just very confusing. I never fit in even in school. So I wasn't fitting in at home, and then at school, because I'm mixed race, I would be getting bullied because I'm black. Like from a very predominantly white area. And that I used to get called like Packy, nigger, this, that, and the other. So I never fit in that way. But then like the family that I'm with are predominantly white. We don't really speak to the other side of the family. And they were like, but then you're not black. And I was always scared. Like I've always been drilled into my head, like never to put on my forms, you can never put mixed race. You've always got to put white British. You've got to, and it was just drilled into me from a very young age. So I never knew who I actually was. I didn't know like who I was. I was just, as a child, I had a job. I was trying to help my brother. I was trying to look after my mom. Like I was literally trying to make her happy every day, because if she wasn't happy, like life would be so hard. And I used to get angry. Like I remember just walking down the street and I could feel what the atmosphere was going to be like at home. My intuition got so strong from a very young age, and I knew exactly what to do. And then when I'm going to my father, like, look, this isn't right because I'm listening, like, no, you just have to put up with it. It's your mom. We know what she's like. Just get on with it. No, but that's not correct. So like nobody actually stepped up for me. I didn't have the safety, the security of someone to listen to as a child. So that there did not set the tone for the rest of my life very good. And that's just like a little bit of like childhood. So this is what carried on through my life. So I was always overthinking, like, is this my fault? Is that my fault? So like everything I thought was my fault. So through life, I was overthinking everything. Have I said the right thing? I was never just able to confidently say something and just sit with it. Everything I said, I'll go back in my head and I'd work myself up about it. And it wasn't good. Living life with overthinking is not great. You're never in the present, and you're always thinking the worst. You're listening to the thoughts and you will always be thinking the worst. Then it comes with the imposter syndrome. You don't feel good. If you're not good enough to be with your friends at school, if you're not good enough to be at home being told that you're not loved enough, like you're not that person, the imposter syndrome was massive. Even though as I grew older and I was doing things, I didn't believe it was me that was doing it for some reason. I always had an excuse. Like I would had an excuse, even if I'd have done something well, I would have had an excuse as to why I have done it. It was never ever like I've done this because of this. It was always because I did this because, not because I've done it. And then the life of just still total confusion. I was being very confused of who I am from a very young age, and that just carried on completely. Not knowing who you are. So if you don't know who you are, you don't know what your values are, you don't know what your beliefs are, you don't know what actually drives you. And I was literally just going from day to day. I was comparing myself to a lot of other people, a lot of families, a lot of like I had a lot of resentment in me, like I can't I have a relationship with my parents like everybody else does? Why am I so alone? Why have I had to do everything by myself from a very young age? There was so much comparing, and this was from like my friends. It was something online. It would be with even with family. Like my nan and granddad were absolutely great, and I used to just like be like, why can't I be here? Like, why did my cousins get to see my nan and granddad more than what I do? I wasn't allowed. Like, I just always used to do it. And because I was always overthinking and thinking it was actually my fault, that came with when you're being told by a parent or somebody that it is your fault. I grew up with self-doubt, no self-love. If they can't love me for who I am and it was my fault, like that just started from a very young age. Like I I once I promised myself when I was 13 I was never ever going to make anybody feel like the way I was feeling as I grew up. So I always put other people first. Like I didn't love myself enough to actually say, no, I've got to do this for me. So I made a promise to myself that that's what I was going to do. And I just left myself. I did not love myself enough at all. I didn't know what to love because I didn't know who I was. And this bring in no confidence. Like I had no confidence in who I am. It was just literally going from day to day. Like I remember when I was at work one time and like two people were speaking to me just in one space, and I was literally sweating. I got so low on confidence. I started to stutter. I did not go out on social things. Like I just literally hated it. Like I had no confidence whatsoever. My whole life was people pleasing. I had no self-worth. I was just completely numb. And when I say by numb, it wasn't like I wasn't living. It's like I just didn't have a clue what it was. I was just like I was just doing what I thought was normal. And doing that led to poor physical health. I turned into a size 24. My skin was terrible. I had such bad abdominal pains. I've had so many surgeries. At the age of 27, I was told that I was going to have a hysterectomy. I was always cramped over in so much pain with my stomach. Like literally, it was terrible. The medical side of being poor physically was absolutely horrendous. And the anxiety of thinking of I have to go see my parents, having to do any social events, having to leave the house, that literally just takes over all the time. And the depression I had, you shouldn't say I had depression, like I just felt so depressed. Like, is this what life is? To a point where I didn't even leave the house once for 3 to 4 months, and I just didn't care. I didn't leave, didn't shower, didn't do anything. And that's not something I'm proud of, but that's what, when you are listening to your head and this is what you believe you are, that's what it can actually lead to. And depression to the point where I have been in mental hospitals. I've taken overdoses. I've done a lot of bad things, which was not cool. And that's what all these things can lead to. So as I grew older, like this is when I started to grow up, and I was like it's getting into my teens, and this is how I felt. I turned to a lot of alcohol. So I remember the first age I started drinking alcohol, I was 13. I drank a whole bottle of whiskey with my friends, literally. I had no idea what I was doing at that point, but then that just started it because of how it made me feel. I drank a whole bottle of whiskey at the age of 13. I remember being dropped off at home so that my friends' parents knew how bad my parents, strict my parents were, and how much I was going to get trouble. So they actually tried to hide it. My friends' parents tried to hide what I had done for me because they were scared for me. So it didn't work. My parents demanded they take me home. And yeah, I got like literally grounded for 6 weeks, which is understandable. I was very young and all of them things, but it wasn't very cool. But that's just the start of how my alcohol started. I'd never really stopped drinking alcohol from that point. And when I say I drank alcohol a lot, to the point where that's where I started getting into like boys. Like even then I was already into boys, but this is when it really started. Like I was practically engaged with a guy at the age of 13. Like I was an adult before I was a child. I was looking after my younger brother. I was engaged. I was going out drinking. I had an adult life at the age of 13. And I was just feeling really restricted compared to all my friends. Like all my friends were just like getting to do all these things. I had to go make sure I was home to look after my brother so they could go out, or I had to go to work or stuff like this. Like I just felt so restricted within myself. And then it just like carried on. Like I never knew who I was. And people used to laugh at me. I used to always fidget with my hair. Or like I used to like when I used to get nervous, I used to play with my face. And then obviously being mixed race and stuff, like I used to get quite a little like laughed at for it. And then being bullied at home, like just being different. I can't even say it was bullied. It was just like they say mental abuse is a lot worse than physical abuse. Like obviously there was some sort of stuff as other stuff as well, but like it wasn't very nice. And then this also led to a lot of food disorders. So food for me was my comfort. And I think this is how I led with my emotions. One minute I would literally be up in the middle of the night, scrounging the cupboards and just eating, and then hiding the evidence that I'd done it in my room until like someone had found out, and then I'd get in a lot of trouble for stealing. Like I hadn't asked for it, it wasn't my food. I would go to the point where I would even eat people's presents. I was doing so many bad things, but I just like I had this tunnel vision. It was like a drug to me. And I did this from a very young age, and I'd literally have not stopped that. Like I was literally doing it all the time to the other point where I like the other point of food disorder is when I didn't eat at all. So then this is another life. So I've gone from one end of the spectrum when I used to steal food, like I just needed that food, and then it would just settle me. I could sleep. And then I went to the other end of the spectrum where like I didn't eat food at all. I dropped dress sizes rapidly. I would hide my lunch in like bags and it would just go moldy in my room or something. Like I'd be like, yeah, yeah, I've eaten my lunch, whatever. And then the next minute it will be my dress sizes were coming down. I was saying, yeah, I'm having dinner at my friends tonight and all of these things. And literally I was just getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Like I just did not, I would try to make myself sick. Like, and then again, like it I've always had that relationship and like to the point where one minute I'd be super small, like super, super small, where I would be having to go to counselling or like my parents were worried or someone was worried about my weight. And then in the next minute I was so overweight I had to be put on diets because I'd been binge eating even through the night. And this had started from a very, very young age. And it never really stopped. But although all of this was happening, something inside of me, like some of my intuition, I didn't know it was my intuition at this point. I knew that like if I carried on the way I was going, I knew that I would, and this is going to sound really bad, but I knew I'd be one of them people where I'd have about 10 kids with so many different men, like probably an alcoholic, like really, really overweight. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what people have chosen, but I just did not want that for myself. So I knew that I had to break it and I didn't know how I was going to break it. I was what, 14, 15. I was like, I need to get out. I need to make a life for myself and I don't know how to do it. So I got told I wasn't allowed to really go to uni when I was at home because I'd had to leave as soon as I leave college. So I was just like, I don't know actually know how I'm going to do that. So what I did is I decided to go in the army, which was really hard because the 2 days before I went in the army, like the family was actually put in a house fire. So we was in a house fire and I literally left my whole family, including my little brother, with my parents with no house to the point where I wasn't going to go. But obviously I got told to go. There was no other option. And like literally the guilt that I had, this young boy that looked up to me, I was his role model. And I just left him. Like that guilt there was absolutely was the worst guilt I've ever had. And that is probably up there with still some of the biggest things that I've actually really, really regretted. Well, I don't actually regret it, but one of them things that like it took me a while to get over. I have got over it, but like it was one of them things that was really hard. So I was an avionics technician in the army, which is absolutely great. Like, but that wasn't the thing, even though I got away like the anxiety, the bullying, and all of that followed me. I was like, what? They don't even know who my parents were. Something inside me, like even like they put us in a row, and it was like white, 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 olive. Like so, like even then they were like, okay, yeah, so yeah, they noticed that I'm not the same here. I had to go to counselling and stuff because of like some of the scores I'd had, and then obviously I'd just been in a fire and everything that I'd done. So I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm being taken away from the platoon already. And then there was one specific holiday. I made a really good friend when I was in there. We had a 2 week break, so I went to Snesley and if that's how you say it, in Wales for a week, and we stayed with her parents. And then the week after, we went to mine for a week. And that there literally ruined my whole entire life. At the time, that's what I thought. Like after her spending a week in my home where I was brought up was probably the worst thing I could have done. I then got back into army camp and I have never been bullied so much in my whole entire life about how I was brought up, how my mother was, how this happened. Like literally, it was absolutely vile. And because I was actually living with them, so like even when you're bullied at going at home at school, you can leave and you can have a break. When you're living with them, and it was like morning, afternoon, it was horrendous. Like it was absolutely horrible. Um, it was literally horrible. I was literally the whole of the like platoon literally knew what I'd come from. Um, it was absolutely horrible. And then when I did try, like it was like Mother's Day and stuff, I used to try and call home just to say like, "Oh, happy Mother's Day." I then got shouted at for being inconsiderate and selfish, like because I'd woke her up and stuff. But it was just like I didn't know, it was just so bizarre. Like even though I wasn't there, it had followed me. Um, so that there was actually really rough. Like letting people into my home life in my head, I was like, never going to happen again. I had so much self doubt then. Where I've come from is bad. This is how people treat me because of where I've come from, who I am. So, like, literally, that shut me down even more. So, I needed to get away from this bullying. I've now got, well, I had flat feet. I didn't know I had flat feet until I got into the army, but what that did is it like snapped my tendon in my ankle. And I played on that. Like at the time I didn't tell. I actually got told to like not do exercise in this bit and it should fix, but I didn't. I just wanted to wait out. So I literally trained hard on this bad ankle to the point it snapped my main tendon in my ankle, and I literally got medically discharged because I did not want to be there anymore. And then yeah, that's what I did. And then when I finally got medically discharged, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, literally, I had no idea. I was like, I'm back in Sibley Street. I'm still the same person. I'm going back to that life where everybody bullies me from coming from that life. I'm going back to that life. So I remember going back, and then I relentlessly just looked for jobs. Like, and I got a job. And within 3 months, I then got a job and I moved out and I did a house share and I never went back home again. And from then I was studying, working, and my career got really, really good in that time. All managing the same things. And the way I used to manage it, like it was just like literally a life of hiding. I knew, and it was a space of doing it for security. I needed to keep a roof over my head. I didn't want to go home. Like I needed to keep a roof over my head. I need a good career that's going to pay my bills. That was my drive at that point. So I worked really hard, but at the same time, hiding everything that I'd come from, um, came through food and alcohol. I literally spent years, weekends, evenings, eating, drinking, partying. That was my life. It wasn't a case of Louise, you come out this weekend. It was a case of Louise, what are we doing this weekend? Everybody just knew I'd be out. Like I had the party life. I was very good with my studies. I was very good at work, but it's to the point where I drank that much alcohol. I could actually drink alcohol in the morning and go to work, and it wouldn't make a difference to my performance, which is absolutely insane. And like, I don't know, thinking about it now, I don't even know how I used to afford it. Like, I used to drink minimum 4 times a week. Sometimes I used to even drink on my lunch breaks. And like, this one thing that I remember really a lot. Just what going out one night, I drank 8 cans of Carlin. I had a whole Indian takeaway. I then went out for a whole night, came back at 3, 4 o'clock, and ate a whole pizza. Like that is just one night that I had. And I used to do that regularly so many times a week. And I wondered, and I didn't even realize the size. I was so in denial of things. I actually felt great because this food and this alcohol actually took me away from what was actually happening. It just kind of numbed everything, and I didn't even realize. The only time I started to realize was when I met like a guy, and like he was just like, I wanted to get healthy. Like the hospital told me I needed to start like looking after myself. I needed like, this is why my stomach was in a lot of pain. This is why I was getting medical stuff. And I was just like, hmm. And it still wasn't enough for me to change. But I did change. Like I was, as my career grew, I was then like, I did meet a guy and I ended up getting married. And he actually, I was very, very thankful for this marriage. Like, he could see in me, like, with all the things that I was hiding from, and literally myself. So he did literally he actually brought some of what I was actually hiding out. And I think it was a really good thing for me. I actually started to like lose weight. I started to like I still went out and drank, but he didn't never drink alcohol. So it was to the point where we was together for like many, many, many years. But the first few years we were together, um, my friends used to ring him and say, yeah, she's in hospital again. Like she's drank too much alcohol, she's been spiked, or this, that, and the other. To the point where he's like, yeah, this happens. This is what she does. I was a nightmare of a partner. Like literally, like that's what he used to get because that was what my life was when I first met him. But as life grew, like I managed to keep some of that, but then I dialed it down a little bit. But it was still there. It was literally still there. I still managed to build businesses with him. We got married. We had a beautiful house, dog, cars, businesses. We had absolutely everything. I still had my party in me, but it was dialed down a lot more. Just for the fact that the life that we had together, it was great. But alongside that, it was still a lot of dread, like around family, around all of these things. It did bring up a lot. So that still was going on in the background, but it wasn't so much. But as time went on, um, I knew that something wasn't right. And again, I really wish that I did listen to my intuition. Every single time I've not listened to my intuition, it led to something really, really bad. So I got married and I knew that I shouldn't have got married. I knew that I wasn't myself. I knew that like something was going to happen and I would have to leave at some point. Um, and I still got married because I love this man. And I was just like, we've been together so long. We've got a vision together. We've got this. And at that point, I knew I shouldn't have, which I don't regret because it's taught me something. Like obviously it would have taught him something too. But listen to your intuition. Them feelings you have, always listen to them. I literally had everything at that point, but I knew that I wasn't, there was still something within me that wasn't right. And I didn't know why, but like when you're getting married, you know that you know that you set out for it to be for life, but in something inside me knew that I didn't know why, but I knew that it wasn't going to be for life. I don't know why. So at this point, I had absolutely everything. But then again, family things and all of these things happened, and everything came to the surface to the point where it wasn't the next thing for us to do was have a child. And it was just like, I couldn't have a child. Like, how can I have a child when I don't feel ready? At this point, I just literally just walked away from my whole family. Like, I just couldn't take it anymore, like how they were making me feel. But on top of that, because they were ready for a family, like my husband and his family wanted me to have a baby so much, and then this is why I knew I was going to leave because they wanted me to have a child so bad. But how can I have a child knowing that I couldn't give them what I want a child to have? I hadn't healed myself. I would refuse to give a child the same life that I had had. So I was just like, can I just have some time? But that didn't happen. Um, so yeah, at that point, I had to walk away from absolutely everything because I couldn't then give my husband what he wanted because I just thought it was so selfish of me to have a child. When I wasn't healed myself, I would have give that child the same things that I had. I wasn't mentally prepared. I was still grieving from like walking away from my whole family from like what they had done and all of these things. So I did not go ahead with having a child and I walked away. I literally left all the businesses that I created with him, my house, my dog, my home. And I literally, we'd just gone into COVID as well. So I had no home. Like I ended up sleeping in my car sometimes. Like it was literally not a cool place. But it teaches you a lot because this was the first time ever, if you think about my whole life, like I was either hiding or I was looking after a younger person or I was trying to like grow a career or I was trying to do this, that, and the other. This was the first time in my whole entire life that I was by myself. Like literally, I was literally by myself and I was just like, what do I do? Like there was literally nothing I could do. I've never been by myself before. Like, and I absolutely hated it. It was the worst feeling. And this is where I actually found somewhere. It was a very moldy room in like in an attic and stuff. I stayed there for a few months and I didn't leave there. I literally didn't leave that place. I was in and out of hospital there, took overdoses. It was just a very, very rough time. Like it was the first time by myself and I was like, oh my God, I've literally lost everything. Like my husband, my house, my dog, it was a very, very, very rough time. And this time I just ordered food to the house. That's all I did was order food to the house. And I didn't leave. But then the anxiety that I had then, even if I did want to leave, would not let me. Like I definitely couldn't. So having no anxiety, well, having all the anxiety, sorry, doubting myself, like, oh my God, everything was my fault. The confidence I had was literally to the bottom. I was unhealthy. I was like, it was absolute that I was really unhealthy. And mentally, I just couldn't even lift myself up. Like literally, I was just a corpse. I don't even know how to say it. I was literally just like practically like a corpse. So it took me a while to like get out of that. The only thing that started the and there was no miraculous like transformation. Like 1 minute, she was doing this and she was doing like drinking loads of alcohol and she was doing this, and then the next minute she wasn't leaving the house. It wasn't anything like drastic. It was literally like one day I just decided to actually have a wash, like, and then I got dressed one day and then I left my bedroom and then like just little things like that. Then I went for an outside walk, which was the first time in a while. Like all these little things that happened and it made me feel good without making somebody else feel good, without having to do something for that. That was the first time I did it for myself, not because I had to. And that's just started it. And from there, I learned how to do exercise. I was like, oh my God, that makes me feel good. I did some exercise in my room. It was literally 10 minutes, like, because I didn't want to leave the house. I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do that. Moving actually helped me. So I did some exercise in that really small room. And that just absolutely helped me. So the confidence started to make me feel good because I was feeling good for myself. I'd done that. I was like, oh my God, like, how am I actually feeling good without having anything else around me? And that was for me, it was the first time. And then I started to this is where I actually started to put into myself. I was just like, I started to go for walks. I actually started to eat a little bit of health. And then the change in me from not even wanting to be here, thinking I'd lost everything because I wasn't lovable. Like, this is why my whole family had left. This is why I lost my husband, my businesses, my house. Just doing these tiny little things every single day made me feel good for me. Um, and I was like, actually, maybe it's not. Maybe this is just something I need to learn what is going on here. And I never stopped learning from then. I put into me more than anything else. I literally fed my body. I lost a significant amount of weight. I started to started to listen to my intuition. All these feelings I had, all the intuition things that I had throughout my life, I just completely ignored. Now I learned how to listen to them. And then what was guiding me, right? You need to do this now. Now you need to do that. I started studying. I got a spiritual teacher. I got a PT. I got a life coach. I got a mindset coach. I got literally every type of coach you can think of. I got, and then I decided to study them because I was just so intrigued about how like my body was changing, my mindset was changing. So as my body was changing, like things in my head, the way I used to think about myself, the world, everything, the world looked completely different. Like I remember hating going outside. My head used to be down. I used to just hate it. And then all of a sudden I was walking down the streets and like the trees looked different. I could hear the birds, like all them little things. And I remember being told once, if you look at life through a dog's eyes, I think this was a therapy session I had many years before. A therapist told me, look at life through a dog's eyes. And I was just like, what does she mean? And then I remember it literally took me back to that. I was literally at one of the walks that I went on. I was literally looking at life through a dog's eyes. I went on the same walk every single day for I don't know how long, feeling thankful, like literally picking the leaves, like just touching the leaves and stuff. And I know that sounds like a little bit woo-woo, but like I was just like, I was thankful that I could actually do that and actually see, not be taken over by the thoughts about dread of not feeling confident. People can see me, this, that, and the other, and it just carried on from there. I then went into the gym. Like I was scared to go into the gym. I cried in the car park. I so many times if there was more than two people there, I would walk out. I fixed my relationship with food. I learned over time how my food had been my anchor. And this is why I was either severely underweight or severely overweight. Every single time life got stressful or I wanted to abandon myself, I'd either eat too much or too little. So I slowly, the amount of crash diets I did throughout the years that I used to have all the pills, I used to hide pills so just like to get all this weight off. And then the next minute I'd need to put weight on because I was so small. Like I literally learned like how to listen to my feelings. Like, okay, am I eating from emotion because I'm feeling like this? And I started to literally break cycles. And this is like I've spent years learning about my emotions and how I react to food and how I've always used it as an anchor. By my food habits, I can see how I feel internally. If I know if I'm starting to crave or I'm starting to eat, like, I know something internally is not great, and vice versa. So I spent a lot of time studying all of these things. I spent a lot of time breaking the cycles of that needing the comfort from the food or just abandoning myself from food. And this is where it all stems from. Everything, all the cycles that I had was all from like something that I'd been taught throughout my life. And it just carried on and on and on. And every single time I did a diet and it didn't work, I was like, what the hell? Like, why can't I stick to it? Another thing why I hated myself. So it wasn't actually that. It was a case of literally like, okay, right, you can do it. Like, why am I like something like I had a busy day at work, tired, fatigued. Okay, yeah, I want a burger. Like it was just literally ongoing all the time. So I spent so long literally breaking these cycles. Okay, so and learning about them and fixing them. And that's basically why I do what I do. Like I can literally like, if I can literally reprogram my brain, all my old cycles, the emotions that I've got, I use emotions now. Like obviously we all still have the emotions. I use the emotions now to fuel me, understand why they are there, and I always go from that. Um, and this is why I literally love, because I like still that promise that I made like that when I was 13. Like I don't want anybody to feel the way that I felt when I was younger. I always, even if people have done me harm or upset me, I will always try and treat them the way that I wish to be treated. Um, but with having boundaries in place at the same time. So there's a difference. Now I've kept that promise when I was 13. Yeah, I'll never make anybody feel the way I did, but I have boundaries at the same time. Whereas that's a case of self-love. So yeah, that is why I do what I do. I literally love it. If I can turn my thoughts, my emotional eating, my suicidal attempts, my homelessness, my like literally everything I lost was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because it literally brought me back to me. It forced me to look at me. Like I literally love it. Like the thought of doing exercise now, that's my time. It's mind connection to your muscles. It's like it grounds me, like walking, reading, all these things that I've never ever done for myself. I literally love, and I get no better satisfaction of helping other people rewire their brain, how to overcome these like these emotional attacks, how to feel confident within themselves and step into a gym and be like, do you know what? I did that. Like literally, there is no better feeling in the whole entire world, because I exactly know how it feels internally, externally, like emotionally, physically, spiritually. Like there is such a higher gift for absolutely everybody, but you need to be yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to like know who you are with your values, your beliefs. But if you're hiding from yourself all the time, you've got no confidence, you're worried about what somebody else is thinking, that's never going to come through. And this is why I love what I do. So some things that I have picked up as I've gone along, like just a few things that may help, is like everything happens for a reason. At my lowest point, when I had nothing, when I was had nothing to live in, I didn't have no money coming in, I'd lost absolutely everything. It happened for a reason. At that point, I didn't know. Um, but if I'd look now, it teaches you something. Everything is always a lesson or a blessing. So, and a lesson is something that grows you. So, really, everything is a blessing. So, everything happens for a reason. Even if you're going through a hard time, be like, okay, what am I learning from this? How is this going to grow me? Another thing that I would always say is always have gratitude, even for the hard times. Even if you're going through a hard time, again, what am I learning from this? Like it might feel rough in the moment, but there will always be something that you'll be learning from it. And not only that, there will also be something that you'll be thankful for in that present moment. So say if you're going through financial difficulties or a breakup or anything right now, just think you've got air in your lungs. You can put food on your table. You can use your legs to go for a walk. You can do something right now that you can be thankful for, and always shift the perspective onto that positiveness. And that will always help. Growth, always be thankful that there is room for growth. No matter where you are, who you are, no matter what it is, whether you are the most successful person in the world, whether you are just starting out or whatever it is, you can always grow. No matter how successful I become, I will always know I can learn from myself and from other people. There is always a matter of growth. I am always going to be that person that knows that I'm going to grow. Okay, yeah, I'm not to the point where like I'm not happy with who I am, because I love who I am right now. Like literally, if I look back to who I am 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last year, I am so proud. But at the same time, because I've done that already, I'm excited to see how I can grow. And I love seeing other people grow too. And if you do have that time where you do have to like leave things, or something breaks down or something's not good, just remember starting over is actually a superpower. Like you get so many options, you get opportunities to start over. When you have opportunities to start over from the very scratch, you get to choose where you want to be. Like starting over is a blessing. Like some people think, oh, but I've got to start over at the age of 30, or I've got to start over at this. Like that is a blessing. Look at that. Do you know what? I'm starting over with a lot more life experience with this, that, and the other. I get to learn something. So there's so many different things. As soon as you change the perspective on something, it is going to be completely different. And confidence is always a choice. I hear, and I used to say this myself all the time, it's because I'm not confident to speak in front of people. I'm not confident to go to the gym. I don't like speaking to people. oh, I don't want to do this, like I don't know my words, like I'm very dyslexic, autistic, and I'm just like I've got excuses for everything. You might not be the best at something, but you have to just choose. Like you have to, and this is something I always say, you have to be consistently crap at something to be consistently good. Confidence is a choice. So you can choose to be confident. I might not be good at it right now, but I am going to be confident at it. I am going to be good at it at some point. You're choosing to be good at it. You just confidence doesn't just like come to you and be like, right, okay, yeah, okay, I'm confident to go to the gym now. Okay, yeah, I'm cool. I'm good to teach now. I'm good to go on that stage now. Like it doesn't come like that. Confidence comes with reps, but the first thing you have to do is choose. You have to choose to be confident and just be like, okay, right, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do with my life. This is me. I'm gonna make it the best. You have to choose that first. And that is fundamental about confidence. If you want confidence in the outfit, if you want confidence in a relationship, if you want confidence doing absolutely anything, you have to choose it first. And then the last thing I'm going to say is always love yourself first. If you don't know how to learn, like literally learn, like I said at the very beginning, choose the smallest of things about yourself, whether that is your resilience, whether that's just the way you care for people, whether that is just like your nails look good, your hair looks good, like whether it's something like that. Always, 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 always put yourself first. Love yourself. Find something to love because that is the core. Like the highest not the highest frequency is love, but the frequency that like where you magnetic is going to be love. Like you if you are operating from that, if you are operating from love, you are going to be absolutely amazing. Like if you put yourself through love and you love yourself, then you're going to be absolutely fine. But you have to learn to do that. Sometimes it can be really, really hard. You have to face fears. You have to look at yourself from a mirror. So think of yourself in the mirror and you have to start to love the things that you don't love about yourself. Like there's so many flaws I have, but I still love them because they bring who I am right now. And this is the thing, like self-love is absolutely everything. So yeah, that is a little bit about my story and why I am so passionate about what I do because I can change people's lives. I've changed my own life. I change people's lives on a regular basis. Like I literally love it. If I can change my life and I can change others' lives, I can change anybody's life. Like, and you can do that too. Like, and there's nothing special about me. Like, literally nothing special about me at all. It's just the one thing that is different, and it's not going to be different because if you do this too, you would absolutely do the same. But the only thing I did was just choose. All I did was choose and just know this isn't for me. I want to be better. I want to find myself. That's all I did. And I just promised myself, a promise to yourself is the biggest thing you'll ever give. And that's the only thing I did. So if you are listening to this, then just make that promise, make that choice, and you can literally do anything you want. Like literally, if I could tell you all the things that like I have done now, like my past self would never have believed it. Still to this day, I don't believe some of the things I've done, and it doesn't feel real. Like I can't take it in, and that's something I'm still learning. Like honestly, you can do anything you put your mind to, as long as you choose and you put the work in and you face your fears, and you're going to be fine. But yeah, that is a little bit about me.